What's up, y'all? It's the Dr. Investor, and welcome back to my channel where we talk about real estate investing, personal finance, personal growth, and entrepreneurship. I'm coming back to y'all with another fire video. So today's topic, I'm going to be talking about my Section 8 tenant from hell. So stay tuned. You know what to do before I start the video. Make sure you like, subscribe, and leave a comment. I'll be right back with the video. So let me get into the story of my Section 8 tenant from hell. So I purchased a 2-flat building in Chicago, Illinois, and one of the units in that property had a tenant already living in it. And I knew before purchasing that property that this tenant caused the landlord a lot of problems. But another thing I also knew about the property is that this tenant was ordered by the court to move out within 30 days of my purchasing agreement. So knowing both of these things, I went ahead and bought the property. So let me get into the first signs where I knew this tenant was going to be a headache and very difficult to deal with. So in the showing process, she was obstructing many of the potential buyers from even seeing her unit. Because when I came, I wanted to see the first unit. The second unit was empty, but when it came to seeing the first unit, even though the seller's agent already made an agreement with her and gave her heads up as far as who's going to be in the property when she needs to show her property, when it came time to show her property, they'll knock on her door, she'll creep out and say, "No, you're not going to see my property today. This is my house, this is my home. You will not see it today." Because it was very easy to recognize as soon as you saw the property that purchasing this property will lead to having to deal with this tenant, and this tenant was not pleasant to deal with, and she caused a lot of issues with potential buyers wanting to see the property. So for that reason, many buyers were scared off from even wanting to offer on the property. And just to give another context, this is in 2022 where everything in the Chicago area that are multifamily buildings are going tens and thousands, even some over $100,000 over asking price because the market was so hot. But my wife and I, we were losing out on so many deals with our offer, and we knew for sure that we were willing to take on this obstacle because we knew she had to be out by 30 days. And regardless of what her unit looked like, we were redoing that whole property. So even if it was in bad condition, we were gonna renovate that whole thing. So the condition of it wasn't a big priority for us. So I made an offer on the property. I had another competing offer, but I was able to beat out that offer and ultimately get the property. But I also inherited that tenant. So when we first get into the property, we were finally able to see her unit and inspect it. And this unit stench of cigarette smoke. You can see the damage to the unit because of the cigarette smoke. The walls are black, the blinds are black. Oh man, it felt like she was hotboxing the place. Her unit looked like a hoarder house, and it was clearly evident that that unit was gonna take a lot of work to repair. But because we already knew this was an old home, we were gonna redo the unit regardless, replace the kitchens, bathrooms, redo the floors, repaint the unit, put new appliances in the unit. So we were okay with undertaking that task. Because we didn't have access to our unit for another 30 days, we started renovating the first unit. So much pushback from her. We notified her a good week in advance that the contractors were coming in and what specific scope of work they were going to do. We started with replacing the floors. And of course we get texts from her saying, "You're trying to kill me. You're gonna kill me with these fumes. I'm gonna sue you. I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to kill me before I have to move out." So this lady was giving us so many headaches and tried to prevent the contractors from even doing their job. Threatening them, saying they're gonna call the police. Oh man, she was so difficult to deal with. And because I was the owner of the property now, I made some new rules for her for what she can and cannot do. And the big one was smoking within the unit. The prior landlord did not have great upkeep of the property. I'm not sure if he allowed her to smoke in the property or not, but she was. And it seems like she was smoking in that property for as long as she lived there. She lived there for 20 years. So she smoked every day, and you can see it within the unit. So the first thing, I made sure she knew that I am the new landlord and these are the rules and regulations of this unit. And I made sure she knew in all caps that no cigarette smoking, and any smoking that will be done has to be 10 to 15 feet away from the property. And if I see any cigarette butts on the property, I will fine you $20. But she ignored this request from me. She continued to smoke every day, which was a big headache. Okay, now let me get into the demographics of this tenant. So there's a stereotype that all Section 8 tenants are black or brown, usually a single mother with multiple kids. But this was not the case with this individual. This individual was Caucasian, which there's no issue with that. And this individual was 60 plus years old and has been on the Section 8 voucher program for 30 plus years. She did have an adult child, but that child did not live with her. So all Section 8 tenants do not look the same. And Section 8 tenants that cause you headaches do not look the same as well. So I knew going in that this particular tenant had many court battles with the prior landlord. There was 10 plus instances where she tried to sue him and take him to court. So because all of that is public record, I looked into it to see exactly what she brought the landlord to court for and what cases she won. So in Chicago, if you take a security deposit, you're required by state law to collect interest on that security deposit. And if you do not pay the tenant interest on her or his security deposit every year, you can be subjected to legal ramifications, which she took this loophole in order to sue the landlord, and she did win that case. She also took the landlord to court for discrimination, took the landlord to court for unfair treatment of a tenant, and many more cases. So this tenant was very eager to take landlords to court. So I wanted to avoid that, but at the same time, I wanted to make sure she did not further deteriorate the property. So the reason that this tenant had 30 days to move out, because the landlord was trying to evict this tenant, because as you can see, this tenant was causing many headaches. So the court and the landlord and tenant were able to come to an agreement that within 30 days of selling the property, that this tenant will have to vacate the property, which is how I got those terms of this tenant having to leave within 30 days. So I want to make sure that anybody interested in Section 8 tenants do not have this particular stereotype in their mind of what a good or bad Section 8 tenant looks like. This tenant didn't fit the description of what people consider a bad Section 8 tenant, or that will cause you headaches. But she very much did that to me and the prior landlord. And I only had to deal with it for 30 days, but he had to deal with it for 20 plus years. It's important you check public record to see if this tenant ever took a landlord to court, because this could be a red flag for deciding whether or not you take this tenant within your property. It's also important to screen your tenants. If you look at any of my prior videos, I extensively screen tenants to avoid this situation. I do not want someone who's gonna be a headache for me to deal with. I want pleasant tenants that are easy to deal with and repay me by being good tenants and taking great care of the property. So that's a wrap on my video on the Section 8 tenant I had from hell. So if you like this video, you know what to do. Make sure you like, subscribe, and leave a comment. If you know anybody that will benefit from my videos, make sure you're sharing my content with them, because that's one of the ways that helps me grow. So my goal for the month of September is to amass at least 700 subscribers. If I know you all, I know I'll smash that goal. So I'll be back with another video soon. The Dr. Investor is out.